moving along there. I know that our rain news has been quiet for the past few weeks, but we do have some news here about a re-signing finally, and some U.S. Women's National Team call-ups. So 3 Warrior players were called up for U.S. Women's National Team friendlies, 3 of those players being Alana Cook, Rose Lavelle, and Sofia Huerta. All of those players will be available for the U.S. Women's National Team in New Zealand when they play those February's friendlies later in the month. You'll notice that one player that's usually with this group for the Women's National Team for the U.S. Is not there. Megan Rapinoe was not called into camp due to her dealing with an injury. She's been seen with a walking boot, so I imagine it's some sort of foot injury, obviously. But that is for the reason for the omission there. The re-signing that I'm talking about was that on the 6th, the Reign re-signed midfielder Nikki Stanton, North Bend native. So if you're from North Bend, please feel free to stand up and all that, through the 2023 season. Stanton quoted, "I'm grateful to be back for another season in the Pacific Northwest. It makes me so happy to be able to play with this incredible team culture and in front of my family and friends. The entire team heard how loud Lumen can get, and we're ready to keep that energy going into 2023. See you all at Lumen." In her first season with the club, Stanton appeared in 13 regular season games, 3 starts, and came on as a substitute during the semifinal match. The 32-year-old registered 107 successful passes, 34 duels won, and 10 interceptions in a total of 400 flat minutes played throughout that course of the regular season. Additionally, Stanton was tied for 8th on the team in tackles won at 16. So I know that this isn't maybe the re-signing that some people are looking for or hoping for. There's some news, interestingly enough, going around the NWSL. Dabinia just signed with the KC Current, who are just in the NWSL final, and they have a stacked roster. They made that final without a good amount of their great players, and they're going to get better. There's been some moves around the NWSL, and the Reign bring back a talented midfielder in Stanton, a veteran presence, someone that adds to that already stacked midfield, and they're able to resecure her. Now, people are wondering when we might see a Megan Rapinoe get brought back, when we see Lou Barnes brought back. I have no idea. This is something that, Rapinoe in the post-game press conference after the semifinal said that she doesn't exactly plan on going anywhere, basically, and it wouldn't necessarily make sense for her to go anywhere. Barnes, on the other hand, I could see where there would be a reason to go somewhere else, considering the 2 expansion teams down in California. Barnes is from California, went to college there as well. So, but just what I can gather as someone who covers the team and what I've been able to look at here and there, it sounds like both of those players will be back with the club. What the delay is about, I couldn't honestly tell you, but I would say better than not, chances are that those 2, Rapinoe and Barnes, are back with this team. The other moves that this Reign club make will be interesting, though, considering you've got a lot of players that are good to great, but I had this discussion with another analyst friend of mine. How do you take this team over the hump, considering you, throughout the course of your existence as a club, you've made it to the final before, but you've found yourself stuck at the semifinal through several seasons? What pushes you over the hump? Who are you going to add that's going to be able to push you over the hump? Will the Reign do that this offseason, or they're just going to be content with bringing a lot of their same group back and count on, jumps and leaps from players like Heidema, like Bethany Balser still, Olivia van der Yacht, all that? Do you hope for jumps there, or are you going to add someone else to come into the mix? But the other issue with that is the Reign, from forward group to midfield group to defense, are already pretty solid in all 3 of those groups. There's no clear glaring hole. So it'll be really interesting to see what moves General Manager Nick Pereira and the front office with the Reign are able to conjure up and figure out ahead of the season beginning, which we still don't have an NWSL schedule, which is very fun. So that would have been all of the news, except for the news that dropped this morning. The NWSL sent out a press release regarding the corrective action that took place, the findings that were released on December 14th, 2022, including some permanent exclusion bans from NWSL, Paul Riley, Christy Hawley, Rory Dames, and Richie Burke. Level 2 sort of sanctions were leveled in terms of suspension and affecting future employment in the NWSL, Craig Harrington and Alyssa LaHue. Level 3, future employment in the NWSL is conditional. A notable name is Fareed Ben-Stidi, a former Reign coach who left, who was essentially outed from the team ahead of the club's match in 2021 on the road against Houston, where Sam Lady took over. Other names include James Clarkson, Vera Pauw, Amanda Cromwell, Sam Green, and Alan Rice. Something to note for the Reign here is that there's all these different sanctions and different levels. Level 1, those permanent exclusions. Level 2, suspension and further employment is conditional. Talked about the conditional employment for Reed Ben-Stede. The Reign are in the level 3 part of suspension / discipline in the club level, as they've been fined $50,000 from the club. From the NWSL. And just to clear up some of that and what took place there with clubs, the NWSL has doesn't say what the Reign were fined for, but I do imagine it has something to do with the Ben-Stede news. So there is that. They're obviously not the most fun news to talk about, but we cover these clubs, we have to talk about it. And league-related news on the 5th, some big trades shaked up the NWSL draft. Angel City receives the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft. There's a 4-team draft, so Angel City receives the number 1 overall pick. Portland receives the number 5 overall pick in this year's draft, the second highest second-round pick in the next year draft, as well as $200,000 in allocation money. The New York / New Jersey Gotham club receives Yasmin Ryan from Portland and $250,000 in allocation money. The Orlando Pride, in all of this, the 4th and final team, receive $350,000 in allocation money and the 2024 natural 4th-round pick. So a mouthful there. The NWSL draft is on the 12th of January, this Thursday at 3 p.m. Also on the 6th, Sophia Smith continues to make history in her young career, a young, impressive career. The 22-year-old U.S. Women's National Team star and last year's NWSL MVP became the second youngest player to earn the Female Player of the Year honors since Meehan did so back in 1994. She won the award in a landslide, earning more than 50% of the votes, and she plays on Portland. So we have to deal with that a good amount of the season, which is unfortunate, but impressive to see such a young career continue to develop.